Getting your first $100,000 saved and invested will change your life. The quicker you can hit that milestone, the better. But this advice isn't coming from me. It's coming from legendary investor and billionaire Charlie Munger. Hearing what Munger had to say about the importance of getting your first $100,000 saved and invested completely changed the way I think about money and wealth building. In fact, listening to this advice from Charlie helped me grow my own investment portfolio to nearly $500,000 at 24 years old. I don't say this to brag. There are plenty of people my age who have way more money than me. Instead, I say this to demonstrate that the wealth building principles laid out by Charlie Munger do in fact work. I have watched probably every interview Charlie has ever given and have read most of everything he has written publicly. I am summing up the most important takeaways you need to know about wealth building in this video. All I ask for in exchange is for you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Seriously, that's it. You guys are great. Now let's get into the video. We all come across popular quotes from successful people all the time. Often they're not very practical or they're just too abstract to really be of any practical help. But if you know anything about Charlie Munger, you know he has, let me just say, quite the way with words. He is famous for his classic one-liners. At an old Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting in the 1990s, a young man asked Charlie for his best advice on creating wealth. The young man complained that he was having a hard time getting started. His net worth wasn't increasing as fast as he would like. This is when Charlie Munger uttered a quote that quickly became famous within the finance industry. The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. While that definitely got the audience's attention, he didn't stop there. He went on to say, I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit. Essentially, what Munger is saying here is that it is extremely important to get to your first $100,000 saved and invested as quickly as possible. You need to do whatever it takes to hit that $100,000 mark. The first $100,000 is the hardest milestone to hit on your wealth building journey. Every subsequent milestone, $200,000, $500,000, $1 million, becomes easier. Let me explain what I mean. The reason why Munger is advocating hitting the $100,000 mark as quickly as possible has to do with two very simple and powerful words: compound interest. The words compound interest are two of the most magical words for your wealth building journey. Once you truly understand the concept of compound interest, it changes the way you view money. The technical definition of compound interest is the following. Compound interest is the interest on a loan or deposit calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from previous periods. That definition is far from inspiring and doesn't truly do compound interest justice. Instead, I like to think of compound interest as a snowball rolling down a long hill. You do the work of making the first little snowball while you are starting on the top of the hill. You then roll the snowball down the hill. With each roll, the snowball is picking up more and more snow and is getting larger and larger. Then at the bottom of the long hill, the snowball is massive compared to the tiny snowball you started out with. You did no extra work in making the snowball. You just rolled it down the hill and let time and gravity do the work. The same concept applies to compound interest and wealth building. Let's say that when Charlie provided the wisdom on the importance of getting to your first $100,000, there were two people in the crowd, John and Steve. John and Steve were both 20 years old when they heard this advice. Both had good jobs and were generally good with money. Except when John heard Charlie's advice, something clicked. A light bulb went off in his head. He decided that he would do whatever it takes to follow Charlie's advice. John got super serious. He became insanely frugal and worked more and more to be able to save more money. He got to that first $100,000 at 25 years old. Steve, on the other hand, didn't really appreciate Munger's message. He went on with life as normal and hit the $100,000 mark at 35 years old, 10 years after John. Assuming both of these guys never put in another dollar into their investment accounts once they hit the $100,000 mark, how much do you think each of them would have when they are 70? For the sake of this example, let's assume a 10% return. This 10% return approximates the long-term historical average return for the stock market. At the age of 70, Steve has $2.8 million. Steve is a millionaire despite never contributing another dollar after hitting the $100,000 mark. Now, how much more do you think John has than Steve, considering he hit $100,000 10 years earlier? Maybe you're thinking another $500,000 or $1 million, or maybe an extra $2 million if he's really lucky. Well, those numbers aren't even close. John has a staggering $7.3 million in his account when he is 70. This is around $4.5 million more than his buddy Steve. Remember, this was John hitting the $100,000 milestone at 25 and then never contributing another dollar to his account. This is what Charlie Munger meant when he said that you can, quote, ease off the gas a little after you hit $100,000. This is because once you have $100,000 in your account, compound interest starts to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you in terms of wealth building.